Okay. So Nick, did you get I did you successfully get permission, do you think, to
Yeah, I have
share?
I have the
You
ability
have
to
all
share
of
now.
it?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. If you're just joining us, you are with the Library of Things Mutual Aid Group, and I am so excited today because Nick is joining us from Littleton Public Schools in Colorado.
Yeah.
And I went to school for many years, actually. But in my school, we had an amazing library and an amazing librarian, but we definitely, I think teachers informally shared in the classroom a little bit from classroom to classroom, but certainly I didn't have access to some of the cool tools they have. So I think it's super exciting today to have someone from a public school system who also has a library of things.
Yeah.
Not to mention your cool toys that you have. So I think this is something that there's going to be a lot of questions. And but what we'll do, the plan is we'll let you talk a little first, Nick,
Great.
and then open it up. And everyone, don't be shy. We are a friendly group. I know Nick is friendly already because he's volunteering to be here out of the goodness of his heart and share things. So welcome, welcome, everyone. Nick, I'm going to let you take it away.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Hazel. I really appreciate all you've done for this group and for all of us as you've kept us motivated here and you keep adding on to your group. I'm just really, really grateful to be a part of this. So thank you. My name is Nick Schuster. I'm going to share my screen here in just a second. But yes, I'm from Littleton Public Schools in Littleton, Colorado. So that's just south of Denver. Um, we have a pretty like a mid-sized school district, I would call it. We have about 13,000 students and about 800 teachers. So that's just kind of just a little bit of background for you guys, and then I'll kind of dive in a little bit more as we go along here. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Um, so one of the things I wanted to let you know too is all the pictures in here are pictures of students from our actual the school district. They've given us permission to actually utilize these pictures here. So, but this is actually those are all, the most almost all these pictures here are from our actual school district, which is great. Um, so today I really wanted to talk to you guys about what does a library of things look like in a school setting. I work at the district level, and so I work across all of the libraries. I'm the district librarian. I'm called the library services specialist. And so I work on the Littleton Public Schools learning and teaching team. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out because that's really important. I'm on the side of the house that it deals with instruction and curriculum, not necessarily information technology services. I feel like libraries in schools are instructionally related, and I feel really, really fortunate to be a part of the instructional team because most times at most school districts they usually sit under the IT department, and so I think that we are so important when it comes to literacy for our children that I feel like that's a really good space to be for us. And so it's just me. I'm the only library services specialist for the whole entire district. We have 21 schools in our district, and I support all of the librarians across all of the libraries. We actually don't have any certified librarians in our entire school district. We have all paraprofessionals running our libraries at this moment. There's been a big movement in Colorado to cut certified librarians out of libraries for a while now, and so it's a huge bummer, but it's something we're trying to change. But with budgets and declining enrollment and all the other stuff that goes along with that, it's really, really difficult to keep certified librarians in our school libraries. So I wear a lot of hats trying to make sure that I can support as much as I possibly can across the whole system. And the people that work in our libraries are absolutely amazing, and there's no way that I could do my job without them because they are just fantastic. They're great with kids, and they're great with resources and teachers, and they do way more than they're getting paid for. So I think we can all agree on that. So. Um, I was a middle school language arts teacher for 8 years. and then a tech teacher for another 7 years. So I actually came from another school district up north and did most of my work there before I came here to the school district here in Littleton. And so I did a lot of work with digital literacy. So I helped kind of teach teachers how to incorporate technology in the right way in their classroom, not all the time, and really thinking about it in a balanced way. And then I've done a lot of work with instructional technology as well. So that's how I was able to kind of take on the library of things when I came here to Littleton Public Schools because I had a good knowledge of that. I had developed a makerspace in my last library from the ground up, and had a lot of hands-on experience with a lot of different instructional technology tools. And my biggest focus is just kind of bridging that gap between curriculum and interactive technology and for our 13,000 students in a fair and equitable way. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about that here in a second. And then lastly, one of the big hats that's really taken a lot of my time this year has been the development of AI guidance in our school systems. So I've been really heavily involved in our AI guidance in our school system this year. So I haven't had as much time to deal with the library of things and library stuff as much this year. But that's becoming a bigger thing. And I think it's really important for us to think about that as library services folks, how AI will impact our jobs as we move forward as well. So just kind of the origins of where we started with the Library of Things. This picture was taken back in 2022, is right after I started. It was the Library of Things was in a tiny little closet right outside of our CIO's office, and it used to be in our school in our actual office here because you can see kind of behind me I'm in a cubicle right now. So it used to be kind of stuffed in some cubicles, so I had expanded to a tiny office. And then from I've actually expanded further from there, so I'll show you guys that in a second. It was the concept was created so that we could centralize our high cost STEM items and our resources to our 20 plus schools. If you saw that first slide, Littleton Public Schools has a few different mottos. We have the one big motto is that we're big enough to serve you, but small enough to know you. And so equity is really important across our district. We want to make sure that everyone's getting a fair and equitable education in our system. And so I've really poured a lot of energy into the Library of Things to help with those resources across all of our schools because the way that funding works in schools is that not every school gets the same amount of funds. And so some schools have more access to more resources than others do. And so this is a way for us to make it fair so that every student can have the exact same experience no matter what school that they go to. The Library of Things was actually started in 2019 by my predecessor, the library services specialist before me. Her name is Jess Hesselberg. She has gone on to work with some public libraries now. So I have to give her credit because she's the one who really actually started the whole thing. And then most of my funding comes from grants and an ongoing instructional technology budget. I've been very fortunate to work with a team that values the Library of Things, and so they have given me a decent budget over the last few years. And so I'm actually utilizing that to kind of help revamp some of the things, and I'll talk to you guys about that in a little while. I see some things coming in on the chat here, and I'm opening it up, but I
You
can
you can ignore it, Nick,
okay,
for
sure,
now, and what I will do in the best possible way, because a lot of it's me going, "Oh, I love that."
okay,
Um,
great,
but also we'll make sure to ask you those questions at the end.
okay,
So
perfect,
you're rocking and rolling, so keep
sure.
doing it. We'll learn.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I get distracted easily, so thank you. Um, um, so the current location. So I have expanded. You can kind of see here. I'm sorry, my pictures are not as big as they should be, but I have expanded into an entire warehouse now. So I have a whole section of our learning and teaching webs part of the warehouse now. So I have several racks that I can put my items on. Um, so it's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time because we do have a lot of curriculum material that's coming through the same exact area and it tends to take up a lot of that space. Right now it's actually mostly cleared out so I can get to my stuff. But when all that curriculum stuff is piled up in there, it's really hard to get to. And so I'll share some closer up pictures here in a bit. What's really nice about being in the warehouse is I can actually tap into some of the warehouse employees if I need some help with transfers, if I'm in a pinch, because the way that it works right now is it's basically just me delivering it across 21 schools and 13,000 students. I spend a lot of time in my car delivering things and bringing things back and forth. But you'll see in my statistics here that my circulations are probably not nearly as high as your guys' circulations are, right? Because I'm in a smaller school district with less patrons, so to say. I'll talk about that here in a second. My biggest obstacle is just finding enough usable space. In a central location. Right now, they wanted me to move out to one of our schools that we had closed down. And it was really, I told him I couldn't because it was like on the opposite end of the school district. So if somebody wanted something, I had to go all the way out there and then all the way back across the school district. It just didn't seem to work that way. I decided to, kind of post up in the warehouse. And I'm going to be cleaning that out and organizing it a little bit more as time goes on, hopefully. The way that our library of things works is we have kind of a three-step process. I have a website, which I'll show you here in a second, where the staff browses on the website and the digital catalog. So I keep the catalog inside of a Google document for now. And then they request a thing using a Google form. I ask for a 3-day lead time so that I can get kind of prepared. So I'm not going to get it out like right away. There are some times where I can, but most times I need at least 3 days. So usually I ask folks to like, if you want it for Monday, make sure you tell me that you need it on either Thursday or Friday the week before, so that I can get it out to you. And then what it'll do is I use Google Forms and I use this thing called Zaps. I don't know if anybody else has used Zaps, but it's like a way to kind of connect two services together, where then it walks between my form and a Google Calendar, and then I have an embedded Google Calendar that'll show who has what checked out. So that way somebody can come into my website and they can see what has already been checked out, so that they don't try to check things out over top of each other. Sometimes those zaps break, so I have to like constantly upkeep that. So I need to find a better system for that overall. And then lastly, I hand deliver all of these items, and I make sure that people understand that when they take an item out of the library things here in Littleton Public Schools, that it comes with my services as well. So I will help them co-teach and co-plan. I will help them develop curriculum around standards. That's really important in the education world and making sure that we're anchored in standards. And then I have a few of a few of my team members will help out when I'm kind of in a pinch. They'll help me kind of deliver some things out to schools. They're also on the form because we get notified when somebody fills out the form. And then they can help me kind of deliver things to different schools as well, especially if I have a lot of stuff going on out at the same time, which usually happens kind of at certain times of the year when people are looking to kind of fill gaps or they're looking to do review with kids and things like that in a different way. So here's our just an overview of our website here. This is the Library of Things website. Right now, it's just in a Google site, and so this is just a screenshot here. Instead of actually like walking you guys through that, I just threw some screenshots in here, and so you can see that at the bottom here is kind of where the Google form is embedded, so they can see their all what's all available there. And then there's a button at the top that says request a thing, and that's how they fill out the form for that thing. This is the actual Google document here, so I have it organized by type of item, so it's just bookmarked and it'll just jump down to that item. What I'd really like is something that's like a searchable thing. So like I don't like so we have our library management system is Destiny here in our schools, and it's not the best system for this kind of thing. So it's just better to kind of keep it as like a separate um, software basically. And I'm looking into doing some custom coding and doing some HTML software for next year, embedded into our digitally accessible website that we're building right now, so that I can make sure that I have all of that stuff like it could be searchable and everything else that goes along with that. Um, Usually I'll give like a link to like some basic information about the item, and then kind of the description of it before they jump into the form. And then once they jump into the form, I deliberately put these pictures over top of each other so you guys can't see the patron info behind the LPS LOT checkout form. But you can kind of see that I have the form, and then they fill that out, and then I get what they want from me, like where they're at, what they want, when they need it, from what date to what date, and then I ask them to briefly describe how they're going to utilize it so that I can best support them. And that actually really works out pretty well. They'll come and they'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, can you come out and show me how this thing works?" So on and so forth. Because sometimes they want to try something new, so they have no idea how it works, or sometimes they don't have like the time to sit down and truly plan. So I'll sit down with them and help them with those items. Um, so the way that it works here, I just saw Jane just give me a question about the plastic bins. So you were just a little ahead of me here. I do have them in the plastic bins here. I find the bins to be more beneficial just because they're sturdier, and especially when I'm taking things back and forth, they're a little bit more ergonomic than like cardboard boxes. I do have some things in bags. You can kind of see on that shelf there. There are some things in bags. I also like the plastic bins because I can sticker them, so I can keep my kit label on there that shows what's supposed to be in there, so they know what needs to go back into that box. And then our barcode on there because I do actually check out these all of these things through our Destiny system, so that I have a um, like a redundancy of data and information, so I know like where things are at all times. And even then, there's still some things. It's still a little bit hard to keep track of some of these things sometimes, which I'll talk to you guys about here in a second. But yeah, so you can see in that picture that I've got some boxes and some bins and some bags and all the stuff that goes along with that. Um, so, so Hazel, I can see your question there. I chose barcodes just because uh, that's our preferred method for checkout. So I keep it in my actual library management system.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So it's the same kind of barcode that we use across our whole entire school district. So what's in our library of things? So I have mainly like kind of STEAM or STEM materials, I would say. So a lot of electronics. So I've got a lot of robotics, a lot of coding things. I've got some maker tools such as 3D pens, and I actually have 3D printers that I'll actually bring out to schools as well. So we use the Bamboo Labs A1 combo, so they can print in 4 different colors. I have a way that I can package that up and actually give it out to classes, so that way they can jump in and do some 3D design with any grade level. That's probably one of my bigger expertises in my role is 3D design and 3D printing. I've done a lot of that with a lot of different students. So I definitely have helped kind of build some clubs and classes and stuff across the district. We have things like screen presses and crickets. We have podcasting equipment, so that somebody can just check that out and do podcasting with their students. And then we've got things like engineering that are kind of more like hands-on things, like these things called Kiva planks. And then I've got these things called make do's, which are these. They help you with building cardboard creations. The make do's are great, but they're really you have to buy a lot of them, because they a lot of times they don't come back because the kids want to keep their creations that they've created and they don't want to take them apart. So it's like it's hard to tell them don't take it apart, or you have to basically say like I'm sorry, you got to take this apart. I mean, like when you're dealing with like a first grade kid, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. That's actually a good question, Jane. I could probably print those things, but I don't know how strong they'd be. That's a really good question. And then we have some subscriptions as well in here. So like I can give out WeVideo licenses for um, for like premium accounts in our system. So that, and then what's really nice is I can check them out and then I can pull them back. So when the students are done using those licenses, I can pull them back and have them ready to go for the next class that wants to use those. We have these things called breakout boxes as well, and so we have breakout box accounts, and then with some blocks accounts as well. Um, so really the whole point of this is to really increase that system equity. So one of our other slogans in LPS is that 100% of our students will graduate with meaningful post-secondary opportunities. And so we're really just trying to make sure that we can level set everything across the district as best as we possibly can by giving that district-wide access to everybody. I think that's kind of a lot of goals of libraries of things, but this really important in a school district so that we can make sure that all of our students can have the same experiences that other students can have. We are seeing kind of there's always been kind of a push for project-based learning, and that's I think one of the better ways to learn in an education system, because you can pull in multiple, um, uh, like in multiple subject areas into one project, and then you can kind of it desegments our learning styles, so that we can kind of learn a little bit more cohesively. And so we really try to do a lot of that project-based learning across our district, and the items that I have in the library of things really helps with that, to give them that kind of leg up with those projects. Some statistics, like I said, my numbers are a lot lower than yours are probably. I had 52 patrons overall this year. So like that's 52 unique teachers who check things out. So then that's 52 classes that they used it with. It's really rare that they're using it as an individual. They're usually using it with a large amount of kids. I just don't know exactly what that number is, so I couldn't pull that out. I do know that the amount of items that were checked out by those 52 patrons, when you count things that are in kits and things like that, was over 600. That's a decent amount of things that we're getting out into the hands of kids. So that kind of gives you a better idea of kind of like your overall patron reach, I guess. And then over the last 3 years, we've had a 62% growth in the last 3 years, year over year, in the amount of checkouts that we've had. So there's been some years that have been like kind of up and down, but this last year was really good. I advertise through our new educator orientations, and I advertise through like our admin kickoff, and then through some of our newsletters and things like that. And then a lot of it's just word of mouth, honestly. So that when one teacher works with another, they say, hey, you should check out these things in here, and then it just kind of spreads from there. Our most popular item is our 3D pens. If anybody's gotten 3D pens in their library of things, they're great, but they take a lot of maintenance, and they break a lot. So I'm constantly having to replace those. I did just try to switch over to the 3Doodlers, because those are much sturdier and they're battery powered. You don't have to actually plug them in, because that was a whole other thing too, is trying to get them plugged in all the time in certain areas. But yeah, they break a lot though, unfortunately. The most time used, so what that means is like the item that is used the longest amount of time usually is our code drones kit. So I've got 20 drones inside that kit, and teachers can teach students a little bit about aerodynamics and flight. They can teach them about coding, and all those kinds of things. So that has an average of 14 days of checkout. And then our most popular age is our grades 3 through 5 kids. So those are the teachers that I deal with probably the most. They're the ones that are looking for some of the more of those hands-on activities. But I work with K through 12. Uh, yeah. And then we utilize the Library of Things for some of our special event showcases. And so we run a program called the Hour of Code, and it's at our Epic campus, which is our career and technical education campus. It's a really popular coding event, and every year we have more than 600 people sign up to come. And each year we use all of the things from the library of things for that event. So I bring out everything I have, my 3D pens and my robots and we actually have a set of drones that we can do drone soccer with. We've got our Kiva planks, and I actually collect all the Kiva planks from across the whole entire district. So we've got thousands upon thousands upon thousands of them, and then kids can create these giant towers, and it's really fun for that, for just kind of the hands-on stuff. And then we have two elementary STEAM nights and days. At our one of our elementaries is Field Elementary, and we run a STEAM night there. It's a community-facing showcase of STEM and like creative engineering pieces. And then we have a one of our charter schools. We actually work actually pretty closely with one of our charter schools, and they do a STEAM day. And so I actually just did that last week, and it was really fun, and brought a bunch of the Library of Things stuff out there and helped them set up stations, and ran one of the stations while they were there. So yeah, so the equipment's constantly getting used, even if it's not getting checked out, which is good because then it helps me kind of keep inventory of things and know what it needs to be. Like either revamped or replaced. So it's nice to have all that information. And then kind of the future from here, where I want to move from here, is that I really want to revamp our system. So I'm going to be creating a new website and a new checkout form, especially after talking with you all and everything that you guys are doing. And as you guys are sharing these things back and forth, like I'm learning a lot from you. And so I really want to kind of up my game, so to say, so that I can be a better steward of the library of things. And then I would like to actually, so right now I have some curricular resources that are attached to our items, but I actually would like to have a lesson plan for every single item. And I've been trying my hardest to get it done, but it's so much work. And it's just me, right? So I do have a plan for next year. I'm going to probably utilize a little bit of AI to help me with this, and utilize some of the Claude's co-work, which will do things together, like do things as like step-by-step processes to help me kind of revamp that lesson plan system. And then I don't know if you guys have been dealing with this in the public library sector, but we've been seeing a huge push towards taking screens away from our kids in the public education system, right? They're saying that the parents are starting to push back and saying, "Hey, our kids are getting too much screen time in school. Like, what are we going to do about that?" It's been a really big movement where we are trying to avoid the whiplash effect, right? Because we went one to one, especially after COVID, and we don't want to just whiplash back. So we want to make sure we're kind of trying to find somewhere in the middle. And so I think that the Library of Things can help support that. So I'm going to start to really push towards finding some more of that like unplugged materials, so that students don't have to get on a screen. They can still have the same learning and the same experiences, but not necessarily having to look at a screen to do so. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been noticing in the educational technology sector that a lot of new products that are coming out are geared towards screen free, and they start to advertise like it's screen free, all that kind of stuff, right? Which is great, right? It's good for our kids because we need to make sure that they're reducing that screen time. I have two kids of my own. I have an 11-year-old and a 10-year-old, and we know the effects of screen time. And then lastly, I don't have it on here, but you'll see that little like tag that says drone up top there. That is a GPS tracker. So I'd actually like to start tracking my items with a GPS tracker because sometimes they get lost in the shuffle, and I'm like going through my emails, like trying to figure out where everything is. So what I'll do is I'll secure that safe tightly to one of the boxes that they're in. Um, and then I they're really cheap. Like you can buy these things really cheap. And then the only problem is I have to attach it to my account. So if I ever like leave, I'm gonna have to figure that out. But then I can attach it to my account and I can just pull up my Find My on my iPhone and it shows where all my stuff is. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, so that's kind of the future of where I want to go from here. So that is all just me spewing at you guys. I would love to hear more of your questions, and thank you guys so much for everything you have shared in this group. I very much appreciate you.
Um, if that's spewing at us, I think we're all, yay, more. That's amazing. Thank you. I mean, this is what this is all about, right? Again, I hope the chat didn't distract you, but the
No,
reason we keep it going is because there is so much, oh my gosh, wow, or holy moly.
yeah.
Or, sometimes one of our questions will spark someone else's question and we riff off each other. Um, so first off, super impressive. Thank you so much for sharing and your work. I think this is really inspiring, especially I know I come from teachers, so and we all went through school, right? Most of us at least. So
Yeah.
so I think we can all see some of the ways that this could be applicable not only just to a public school district, but what about a corporation? What about a co-op? What about
hmm
there's different types of sharing that this can enable. So I want to be sure to get to some of these questions. And there's plenty that I didn't put in chat, so don't worry. We've got so many for you, Nick. But if we want to follow up afterwards, I know you're active on the listserv. So I always tell people to put the question out to the listserv if it can be somewhat general, because then you'll get lots of questions. But
hmm
it sounds like you're willing to, like, if a local school district wanted to emulate you, you'd be willing to chat with them,
Yeah.
maybe.
100%. Yeah. Anytime, just reach out. I'd love to share ideas for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's I want to get to some of these questions because and folks, if you have new if you have questions, don't hesitate to unmute to just ask them. I am only leading because no one else was doing this, you know? So that's how this happened. It's an open invite. Um Uh, but I also understand being too shy to ask them in person. I'm wearing my big girl pants right now. So here we go. So warehouses. I thought that was really interesting. Jane had a really neat idea. That they said that I read that libraries of things could be traced back to curriculum libraries designed to support teachers, which I thought was super cool. And Nick, you said you inherited this a little bit from another person. Have you been able to look to other school libraries doing this, or are you kind of reinventing it yourself for your area?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question. There's a we have a consortium of library leaders across the Denver metro area, and so I work a lot with them and I've talked to them about our library of things as well. They're more kind of at the district level like I am,
Yeah,
but yeah, we've done some kind of sharing back and forth on that in terms of like uh, the types of things that they're sharing in their libraries of things. And there's like mobile maker spaces and stuff that a lot of our school districts do as well. And I've learned some things from those folks. Like I know that I came from Adams 12, which is north of Denver, and they had like a district level library of things. But it wasn't called a library of things. I think they called it like a mobile maker space.
right,
And
right.
so, so then they would like, it was like a whole kit. It wasn't like individual things. It was like you either have all of it or none of it, right? And so I kind of learned from that when I came down here, like, hey, not everybody wants all of it. We can do just individual, like a la carte things. But yeah, that's a really good suggestion though to make sure that I'm reaching out to more folks. That's why I love being a part of this group because I follow the conversations that are happening and people like things that I don't really think about, like in terms of like packaging and like like how do you deal with maintenance and those kinds of things. Like I'm reading all that stuff, so I appreciate
You and me both. You and me both.
it.
And that's again, our diversity will make us stronger, right?
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. So, a question on that. Do you inventory each time that something gets returned to make sure everything's there? I know some libraries do, some libraries don't, some libraries just have repair pieces. Tell me what you do.
Yeah, that is probably one of my weak points in this whole system is that I just don't have the time to do I pull it in and I inspect what's in there, but I don't do like a super diligent process. Sometimes I will have time and usually like I'll do like an overall inventory at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year to make sure that all of my items are ready to go and good to go. Like with drones, I like replace all the rotors and all that kind of stuff, right? But each time it's coming in, it depends on how much time I have before the next turnaround happens. So that is a process that I do need to work on a little bit, just to kind of get a better, um, I guess, like organization system in place for that, like almost like a checklist. I should have like a checklist per item, so that I can just open it up. And there was a couple items that I did do that with over the years, but that's a really good question. And, it's funny because like then there was that message in the listserv recently about the wrong plug that like
Yeah.
blew something up, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh man, I better look at that like because I have a lot of electronic things. So that's going to be something I do here at the end of the year.
I'm going to bet forward a training we can all do for free that my colleague in the UK found. So
Oh, nice. Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, this is
great.
why we're all helping each other out.
Nice.
Um, so on that note, so okay, inventory. What about, it looks like you store them in a lot of different types of things. So you've got
Yes.
plastic bins, you have, did you consider other storage options? Are you thinking of making them all the same? Or are you just kind of like, I have some warehouse space, we're going to make this work. Plastic is a good, like, rain's not going to fall on it.
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately, and to be honest with you, those are the kinds of bins that I can find that our people have already purchased,
Yeah.
and I can kind of cannibalize from other departments and other services, um, because we have like a big area in our warehouse that has a whole bunch of those bins and stuff already, so that I can make sure that I have access to those. Some of the bags and stuff that you saw in there are actually sometimes they're like interim containers. So like if I had to like pull something apart, like a kit apart because like somebody wanted just one thing or I'm testing something, then I'll put them in the bags and put them up there. I wanted to show you guys kind of the reality of what it looks like on the day-to-day basis. Like it's not very well organized right now. And that's something that I'm working on. Um, so I do get a summer break still, even at the district level, which I'm like so grateful for. So I have another like week and a half left until I go on summer break. So in that week and a half, that's my big push is to organize things and get things into more consistent containers.
Hey, it looks good to us. You're not talking to a judgy crew. We're all just trying to level each other up,
I
right?
appreciate that.
The Jane just shared the article about curriculum libraries. If anyone is
Awesome.
interested and doesn't see chat, you can download it. They put it right in chat. Nick, a lot of this is so cool and amazing in the chat, which I can only concur with. I also hope you'll share some of these things that if you get to it, and like no pressure
Sure.
from us, but like the GPS, if you get that working, I know a lot of us would be very interested in like how you do that, but protect your people's privacy as
Yeah.
well as like if you end up doing curriculum, I think all of us are like, yes, I would love to have free curriculum to share on all of these things. I know I would share them in our,
Yes.
I often say if we all just did one thing and shared it, imagine what that would be, right? There's
That's
like
a good point.
500 people on the listserv. All of us would have an amazing amount of things to share. So no pressure, but when you do, know that there's fans out there waiting for it.
Sure. I'd love to help out for sure.
So question, I thought Jane also
Hi,
had a really
Jane.
good idea. Bye. That when a teacher's going to be absent, that could be like a really great thing that they could just grab your kits and then have a lesson plan with these amazing tools. So I thought that was a super kind of plug and play lesson option that,
Yeah, exactly. That is a really good. And I actually have had teachers do that, right? They'll check things out in anticipation of having a sub day or things like that. Because I've actually gone out and actually like because I have actually have my teaching license current and updated and everything still. So
yeah.
I actually have gone out and actually like covered people's classes as a sub basically, to help them with these kinds of things. So
That's super cool. So is it so on this note, we've just seen how many hats you wear. So
yes.
what happens when you get sick? Is there another person trained to do this, or is it like all of us where, we kind of patch it through and someone might deliver it, or you just have to cancel it, or you just don't ever get ill?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think it's kind of all those things, I
Yeah,
guess, really,
okay.
I would say it's probably more like what you guys do. I just do my best,
Yeah, yeah,
I do have some wonderful folks on my team that will step up in my stead if I ever ask them to.
yeah.
So I do have that support though, so I can't I would be remiss not to mention that for sure.
Of course, but it does sound like what a difference one person can make as well, right? And I think we all know that being in public libraries and public schools,
Yes.
like we are all doing a lot.
Yes.
Um, so I'm really excited about when you showed the warehouse. I did not realize you had a warehouse, and this just made my mind go, oh my gosh, what if what if we had this for, is there a future with Library of Things warehouses everywhere and sharing logistics instead of like purchasing from Amazon? Like,
Yeah.
what if we had, mini options in all of our communities? I'm just curious of how you organize it. Like for every item, do you have I assume you don't have an Amazon robot to go grab it for you once you punch in a number, for example. But I can imagine you being like, okay, shelf A, section B, you know, box 7.
Yeah. Hmm.
Is that how you're doing it? Or is it like a custom system like that? Or are you using MyTurn or something on the back end and using a different ontology?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, like when I moved I did have it set up that way. I
Yeah.
actually had signage on my racks. So just I wasn't tracking it any other way, but just signage on the racks so that I could tell people where to go to get it from if they needed to. So every place, every item had its place, so to say.
Yeah.
But the uh when I moved to the warehouse, it was kind of like um uh, a nebulous move, right? Like I was like moving into this one area, but once wasn't quite sure what was mine and what wasn't yet. And so it has solidified that is 100% my area now. And so I actually was able to even expand a little bit this year as well, and was able to remove some of this other storage stuff that I had in there. So that is actually my next goal. I love the idea of even having another software system that can track that as well. So that way I can pass it on to somebody else if they do need that. My like that in those pictures, it looks a lot bigger than it actually is, right? Like, and so
Fair.
it's not too hard to like just see because I have the boxes are clearly labeled what items
Yeah.
they are. So it wouldn't be too hard to search through there, even if I couldn't get to that. So that's been kind of like a low priority for me at this point. But I love that
Totally.
idea.
It totally makes sense, but visually I was like, whoa, what could be? On that note, so I mean, this can be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet or whatever, an open source
Yes,
spreadsheet, right? Where you just put the location and call it good. But
that's true.
do you have, I noticed how you said they message you a little bit before and then you can go pick up the thing. Can they reserve it for like months in advance? Can I say,
Yeah.
I need this on Earth Day, or
Yes.
something like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. A lot of people do that. We have a lot of like summer programs here,
Yeah.
so a lot of teachers um will reserve way ahead of time. So they'll say like, "Oh, I need this in June," but it's actually January, right? And so what that does though is it does create a calendar invite for me.
Yeah.
And then I have it set to give me a notification so that I like ahead of time so that I know that this is coming up, right? And so then I'll get the notification like, hey, this is going to go to somewhere else, so I don't forget because sometimes it'll get buried in the spreadsheet that I use in the form. So yeah, so people can reserve it as far ahead as they'd like.
So I could see this also kind of working in between libraries too someday, depending upon what we need for like library programming, like a lot of string lights or something that we don't really want to lend to the public, but it would be really nice for like local nonprofits to use or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, it's
Um,
a great idea.
what about, because we're going to need all these different types of layers of sharing ecosystems eventually.
Yeah.
A question from Gregory. Yeah, hi, Gregory. Have any teachers ever asked to come in to browse the collection in person? And if so, yeah, like to get inspired, frankly.
Yeah. I've never had that request. Nobody has ever come in to see my messy warehouse. Um, so
Too
we have,
busy.
I have had parents ask if they could check things out though. So
Yeah, I bet.
that's come up a couple of times where a teacher will tell a parent about it, and then the parent reaches out directly to me and says, "Hey, can I check this out?" And I don't want to take away opportunity from anyone. So I've figured out how to do that. There's been a handful of times where I've allowed a parent to check out for their child, especially for
Nice.
like early coding stuff. That seems to be kind of the bigger option for that. And so, but there was one time where it kind of burned me where they just weren't bringing it back, and
Oh,
I really had to hound them in order to get it back. I did eventually get it back, but it was it was like a year later. So
I mean, we have had that problem here. I think that's where, again, this is where, like, in the future, you can direct them to the public libraries and vice versa. And that's kind of, we kind of have a different, not that we wouldn't get burned too, but different systems of like, oh, we don't have the $500 version. We have the $100 version, and you
yes,
can
yeah.
borrow that.
And that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Some
funny.
of those, Lego Mindstorms or whatever can add up quick.
They
Uh,
can. Yes.
on that note, so let's talk a little bit about some of your tech.
Sure.
Drones, for
Hmm.
example. I want to know about drones.
Yes.
We got a drone donated to us, just a mini drone, and I'm like, oh, I have to research that before I lend it.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I know outdoors you have to have flight rules and there's certain things. You obviously get around some of these things. So, do you have any tips and tricks for folks like me who have not delved into drones?
Sure. If it depends on what you want. So I have I have actually a few different types of drones in the library of things. I have the mini drones, the ones that are the co-drones. Those are the easiest to manage. And you can create like a fleet of them. So that would be much more for like a class set, right? So like if a class wanted to check something out. But if even in the public library space too, like you can have those as checked out like individually. Um, if they're under, I think it's 150 or 250 grams, you don't have to abide by any of the FAA rules. So you don't have to get licensed,
Mm.
you don't have to have them registered, those kinds of things, right? So, and to be honest with you, if they're under 150 grams, I think it's 150. If it's under 150 grams, you actually don't want to be flying them outside, because the air outside will really mess up the drone. You actually want to be flying those inside. And so most of the stuff that we do with our kids here are flying inside. So we find big spaces for them to fly in, like in the gym or sometimes in the library. And sometimes they go into like big classrooms and things like that. And we have like all these rules and regulations set up on like how do you fly them, going over safety protocols and things like that with them. But for the most part, they're pretty harmless. They've got like baskets that kind of go around the edge of them so that it's harder to get hurt by them. And we norm it out to make sure that, if you're holding the controller, you're also holding the drone. You don't want to have somebody get their fingers cut by drone blades and stuff like that. However, we do have another drone, the DJI Mavic 2 in our library of things as well. So that's a big drone. That's like, probably about that big. And that one definitely would need to have an FAA license and it needs to be registered. So I've kind of grounded that one for now, until I can figure that out. There are some times where there are some teachers who want to check it out to do like some like survey type lessons with their kids. So that's more at the middle school level because
Yeah.
you can actually use these software. There's like this software called Drone Deploy, which is really cool. So you can like register your drone to the software, and then the software actually runs the drone, and then you actually go onto a map and you map out where you want the drone to fly, and then it flies in a pattern and it actually surveys the whole entire land. And then you download all of it and then upload it back into a system and it shows you like the topography of the land and like the area and perimeter and all this stuff is really good for students to learn about surveying and math skills and things like that.
All right, I would like this project on too, and you to share all the learnings on the Library of Things mutual aid group so we can all learn together.
Yeah, for sure. The problem is just getting around that whole license thing, right? Because you'd have to
Yeah, well,
have
of course.
somebody get licensed, and that's not a simple thing. You know what I mean? Like
No.
it's like a 6 month course in
So
order to get licensed.
are there outdoor drones? There must be outdoor drones that you can use. I mean, they're selling them at big box stores, right? That you can use without a license outdoors. Or is that like Have a Heart Traps, where you're supposed to be an official trapper for anyone who ever buys a Have a Heart Trap?
Yeah,
Is it the same situation? Which is why we don't
basically,
have traps in our library, even
yeah.
though,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think that you can buy these drones at the big box store, but once like it's like an organization like us where we're giving them out to people, we take on
right.
so much liability in that
Exactly.
system, right? Like before it was like the rules were like kind of hit or miss, and now like they're pretty strict about those FAA restrictions.
Of
Now,
course.
something like a DJI drone though, like it's going to have built-in um like safety mechanisms. Like it won't go up past a certain altitude because it
Yeah.
knows where it's at. It can track itself where it's at GPS wise because you need to have a phone with it. So that's another kind of barrier as well, right? Like if you like I don't check the phone out with it,
Yeah.
so it would have to be somebody who has a phone that they're willing to download an app and all that kind of stuff too. So yeah, it can get a little sticky in that situation.
I would say, okay, fascinating. I have mine's still staying in my cubicle until I figure this out. So, but I hope you figure it out before me. And if I
Sure.
figure it out before
Yeah.
you, I'll put it online too.
Yeah.
Same with
Well,
anyone else here.
yeah.
If you were also had donated drones. Any other questions, you guys? I try really hard to keep us on the hour because I know we all have other things to do. But at the same point, thank you for giving me so much joy, Nick, and everyone on this call because these I really love doing these. And I learned so much. And I really find everything everyone does incredibly inspiring.
Me
So,
too. Yeah. I appreciate it.
okay, so Sally says absolutely amazing job. I'll ask one question while we're waiting to see if anyone else has another question. ADA, especially being in education, where you were
Hmm.
saying that you were working on some of standards and things, which I assume AI might be very helpful helping you figure out which science standards and things you use.
Yes.
Um, have you thought about, we had a great question on the listserv recently about, with the ADA regulations and how to make things more accessible to all. Have
Hmm.
you thought about that yet at all with your collection, or are you kind of at the still working on it, as I'm sure all of us are to an extent?
Yeah, I'd love to like pick your guys' brains on that too, because in the school system world, the ADA compliance stuff really is really centered around the digital side of things, right? And so
Yeah,
how we're communicating out to our patrons or our community members at large.
good
Um,
point.
so we haven't really geared it towards internal yet. We know that that is a requirement, but since most of the stuff that I'm building, like the website and the checkout form and stuff, is all internal, like with our own teachers. And we're a small enough system that I know if I would need to make sure to modify something for someone. But like because it's internal, we haven't had that much of an issue with that. However, I would like to know a little bit more about how you guys do that for like physical ADA requirements, right? Like how do you make things accessible for everyone? I mean, that's really hard.
I think it's always, as everything, an ongoing learning process.
Yes.
I'm hoping that there's going to be some more discussions on that on the group because I know everyone has a lot of ideas. I think between all of us, between everyone, we're all going to have insights that we're like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and we can
Yeah,
all
right.
riff off each other.
One thing I will say though is that in the public education system, we do have paraprofessionals who can help us with those things. So
Exactly.
if we are lending materials to a teacher and they do have a disabled student in that classroom, normally they have some sort of system or structure set up where someone is supporting that student, right? So
Yeah.
that's how we could get around the ADA requirements, at least physically, with those students. But then it would be on me to help train that paraprofessional to make sure that they know what they're doing. So
Yeah.
that's one avenue, I guess.
Well, same with kind of multilingualism and all these other things we're trying to do to increase accessibility and
Yes.
for all. So
Yeah,
always,
multilingualism as
always
well. Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
always more. Well, on that note, I don't see any more questions in the chat, and I know folks are joining off. So, Nick, thank you so, so very much for coming on, sharing this, and just your public service in general. Those of you who enjoy the series, we are also having we went from school libraries. In July, we're actually going to do academic libraries, so college level. So that will be a cool juxtaposition. We're going to have some folks doing that. So keep your eye out on the listserv. I am behind on posting what's coming next, as well as posting recordings. So I am working on solving that. But yeah, again, thank you all so very much for being here and being part of this, and
Yeah, thank you
especially
all.
you, Nick.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And Hazel, I think Sally is saying that you're doing an amazing job. So we really appreciate you. So thank you.
Right back at y'all. We're all a team. Go team. All right. See you all soon. Have an amazing weekend when you get to it and summer
Yeah.
as we get there.
All right. Enjoy the summer, everybody.
Bye.